Hello everybody, it's Sephiroth4 for another episode of Paranormasight. Last time we started Harue's story with interesting look into her past and her motivations for possibly joining this game. Despite having obtained the curse of haunting clappers, Harue Shigima is determined to use the rite of resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator Richter to find the other curse bearers. So, unlike the other two, she's a little bit more into things, but it's kind of understandable given the trauma she's been through. Let's check in on her on 1 a.m. The reception room of her mansion. Richter said, "Sit tight, I'll try to find out what I can." It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened. But he hasn't. So all I can do is wait. And wait. Should I put a record on? No, it's too late for that. I'm not in the mood for music anyway. The flowers put me at ease just a little. The old hanging scroll. I've seen it too often to feel anything from it now. There's a fax machine. I rarely find a use for it. I don't know anyone else who owns one. The ticking seems so loud. It just goes to show how quiet it is. There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point in turning it on. Come to think of it, I never offered him any tea. Not that I ever learned how to make it. I already looked at that. My husband used to complain that it was too dark, but I rather like the gloom. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. What's this? A newspaper? It must have fallen off the chair. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. It looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it made my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then, although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. If there's one thing Hanjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anyone I knew. I don't read the news anymore. Not since last year. It brings back bad memories. I don't really watch much television. It feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. The father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. Suicide at local high school? Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think, or maybe it was something about exam pressure? Huh? What? But... no, this can't be right. Her name... Michio Shiraishi from Komagata High School? It can't be. Yeah, that was the girl that was last seen with our son. All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving into the era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height, and people are saying it could fall further. Excuse me. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center's gonna be nothing but apartments before long. Huh? I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like this another world to me. Yeah. Now everyone has more spending money to go around. People are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems like only yesterday people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens. But now we have enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage, but now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm coming off a flu, so my nose is just really packed. I hear the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds. Mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such short shelf lives now. With how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way with their modern worldviews. My generation will only fall further behind. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to go to a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. A new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore, it'll only remind me of him. Now the comedy boom is over, all the comedians are flocking to other genres. The cult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Yeah, that's everything. So yeah, we didn't learn too much there, except for the fact that Michio, the girl that committed suicide, is, we're connected to her too. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I'm sure I made sure the receiver's on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. That must be him. Hello? Shigima residence. $2 a.m. Komagata Bridge. Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. He's gazing down at the water. What does he see down there, I wonder? The Sumida River. The water's filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Huh. Right, should have guessed. This is where they found him after... This is where they found him after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? Come here every day since then. And I prayed to the river to give him back. To give back my son. Day after day. In olden times, people believe rivers marked where our world met the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associate the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Hanjo. All their fear and revulsion accumulated there and took root. But then the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Meireki, and just like that, Hanjo was part of the city too. As if turned from far land into a town, the people surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told. They were, but that's not all they were for. Their other purpose is to contain all the corruption that built up on the far shore. Stop it from leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially they were a spiritual one too. So, if I have this right, are you saying that Hanjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else, I'm sure of it. It's probably why the 7 mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. I guess that would make this spot we're standing on now, right over the water, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. That might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Just thinking aloud, ma'am. Well, it's a nice thought. Sumida River. Class A river that is part of the Arakawa River system, which runs through much of eastern Tokyo and empties into Tokyo Bay. During the Edo period, Sumida's riverbanks played a key role in the transportation of lumber used for construction. In addition to its logistical importance, it was also a place for the common folk to gather and enjoy activities such as seasonal flower viewing or river bathing, and there exists many woodblock prints depicting such activities. The area became plagued with sewage issues when surrounding environs were industrialized in the post-war period, but the situation has improved since. Many unique bridges span the Sumida River, including the Ryogoku and Azumabashi bridges, which attract a large number of visitors as sightseeing spots. Massive fireworks displays in the summer are also always sure to draw a crowd. The river has served as a cornerstone for both the city and its people, having both aided in its development and serving as an inspiring backdrop for countless works of art and literature. We're on Komagata Bridge over Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. Komagata Bridge, one of the bridges spanning Sumida River, completed in 1927 as part of the reconstruction effort following the Great Kanto earthquake. It is notable both for its distinctive blue arches and cutting-edge, for the time, techniques used in its construction. There are many bridges stretching across the Sumida River, each boasting unique structural form and design. Anything else interesting around here? Nope. Thankfully no one's followed us. You go first. Please, go ahead. Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries looking for curse bearers. And I think I found a few candidates. First, a tall man I ran into in Kinshibori Park. I asked him for directions, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the questions right back around on me. And he was out of there the second he figured out I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him, but I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. Yeah, we found out he wasn't, though. Then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on South Wargasu Street. There's no question about this one, he had one of the cursed stones in his hand. He had nervous air about him, too, as clear as up to some shady business. Gathering soul dregs, I'd bet. He'd make a good target. Next up is a pair, a young man and woman I saw around Ryogoku Bridge. This time, the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. We haven't learned anything about the woman, though. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often. Looking for kindred spirits would be my guess. Though it didn't seem like they're quite working as a pair. Gathering soul dregs in groups might be a decent idea if you could make it work. But with things being how they are, it's got to be hard to find folks one can trust. They got brass, though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. Last is 2 detectives I've seen sniffing around. The police are involved? Not necessarily. The body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park got ties to one of the sub-mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. And if they're sending in detectives from the head office, then something's gotta be up. How do you know where they're from? Let's just say that when you're in this business, there's some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone's who's caught my eye. You found all of them in so little time. I really did hire the best. It's all in the name, man. Richter Kai, P.I. No, wait. Make that Richter Kai, Investigator Extraordinaire. My Investigator Extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself? You bet. Investigator Extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit. Well, that aside, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound most promising, am I right? Whichever we picked, it's still too early to make a move. It seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, still others we don't know about. I said we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, they'll get the pot nice and hot. Once it's boiling, our chance will come. Something I need to tell you. What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Shiriishi, the one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping? That's her. Well, she's dead. She's what? Student who committed suicide last week. That was her. I heard something like that happen. Never got the name though. Talk about bad luck. Finally get a lead, only find it's turned to a literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Janucci was so shaken up. He said she was gonna curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave? Seems like we're back where we started. Not necessarily. That teacher knows something, I'm sure of it. At the very least, I put money on him having something to do with Ms. Shirishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. Huh? In any case, I think I got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. A hunch? Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess? I can guess. I can't say for certain, but Mr. Junichi silenced her? With murder? What if Mr. Janucci silenced Michio Shiriishi with murder? What do you think? I see. So you think Ms. Shirishi's death might not have been a suicide? That would certainly give him good reason to think she'd hold a grudge, and I'm not sure I buy it. That might be a little far-fetched. I see. I'm sorry if I disappointed you. I'm not really cut out to play detective. Well, no point dwelling on speculation. The truth will out in time. Right now, I think we need to have another chat with Mr. Janucci. Don't you want to tell me something? Or you said everything I want to say? Well, we can think. Standing around is the last thing I want to be doing right now. This is my only chance to bring back my son. I can't afford to fritter it away. Is there someone else here now? Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you? Go ahead. It must have been about 20 years now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, Smita River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank. You could look over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. What? It was almost a miracle when you stopped to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that left would have an identifiable scar? And that they could tell had been a murder from the blade marks on the bone? Huh? Wait. Excuse me. Are you talking about the Nejima murders? So you've heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time. I wasn't really aware of them. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. Okay, so now she's connected to that too, much like Tsutsumi. Interesting. Oh! Fumichika Nejima, man who made headlines over 2 decades ago as a perpetrator of the brutal killings known as the Nejima murders. Dude doesn't have a neck. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterward, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everybody figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself. That's right. Which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times are changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. They made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. Huh? You see, back then, if you chopped a body into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again. Are you saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after. Fumichika Nejima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime. People began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end, but the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? The same thoughts spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river's been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting? Well, I could see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all the darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders. But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand. The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. Huh. Guess it just wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes, I wonder if he resents me for it. Smita River. I have nothing but awful memories of it. Something wrong? Not really, it just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Nejima murders. So it has. Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Huh? Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Yeah, I've heard that also, like a life sentence can mean 20 years. Only if they're found to show some remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course. That's right, I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard to imagine someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society. I hear they've been trying to fix that recently. Imagine inmates with jobs and accommodation. Oh, really? They keep an eye on them, of course. Make regular report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' record a secret from everyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities so they wouldn't be recognized in the workplace. My, I don't like how that was bolded. The way you put it, it's like you're saying Fumichika Nejima could be out on parole right now, back in society under a new name with nobody any the wiser. It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making a parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Nejima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind. I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too. What is it? I was passing Komagata High School a while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think, and I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Nejima. Oh? He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner than I remember too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps it was him after all. Ugh. So, what's next? Big question now is what the rest of the curse bearers are up to. Luckily, Sumida River is a good distance from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bearers will come all the way here. I can finally have a moment to think. I see. All right. Excuse me. Huh? Oh no. Hey, I was just talking about you before. We don't know anything about you. Where did she come from? It's like she appeared out of nowhere. I didn't mean to startle you. I'm terribly sorry if I've gotten the wrong people, but would you happen to be curse bearers? Huh? Curse bearers? What's that then? It means someone who's gathering souls for the rite of resurrection. You have heard of the rite of resurrection, haven't you? Everybody's talking about it. Color me intrigued. Care to tell me more, miss? What was your name again? Oh, silly me. I'm Ayame Tono. University student. Uh-huh. Little Triforce earrings. She says her name is Ayame. I guess she's around 20. She must be brave walking around alone at this late, or maybe there's more to it. What do you say, Richter? He's hiding it well, but I can sense he's got his guard up. Could there be more to this girl than meets the eye? Transformers. First thing we're gonna do, though, is... Okay, so there's Nejima, and... No. Yeah, Makoto Ashimiya. So definitely different name, but... They look really different. I can kind of see it in the eyes, like, but you know, the drooping eyes are because like the face, he's 20 years older, maybe? But regardless, that does make this guy a lot more suspicious. And I wonder if that'll do anything in our storyline for the girls. But first things first, we have someone here to talk to. There's more to the rite of resurrection than meets the eye, you see. So the best way to collect soldier eggs is to kill other curse bearers, and that's about the size of it. I hope it wasn't too much to follow. No, I think I got the gist. Funny old world we live in, huh? So, are you saying you're one of these curse bearers? Well, not quite. It's complicated. I'm not, but Yutaro is. Yutaro, is that your boyfriend? Oh, heavens no, just a friend. His full name is Yutaro Namigaki. I suppose you could say we're partners in crime. Funny way of putting it. So where is this Yutaro now? Well, about that, he's not actually a curse bearer anymore. Okay, so this takes place after the police confiscate his stone. He's more like a former curse bearer. Former? How so? I don't really know the details myself, but apparently he lost his curse stone. Typical, right? You make such a show being a top student, only a flunk where it counts. So, I'm out here now, looking for curse bearers myself. I want you, if you want something done right. He lost it? How did he do that? I wasn't with him when at the time, so I don't exactly know how it happened. All I know is they came back saying he didn't have it anymore. Although, well, strange you'd probe into that of all things. I'm just the curious sort, that's all. Sorry if it's a touchy subject. Oh, I don't mind. I don't particularly care about keeping it a secret. People with no secrets are the scariest of all. Yutaro can be a little irrational sometimes, so I have to keep a level head on my shoulders. Why did you approach us? So anyway, mind if I ask you why you thought I was a curse bearer? Oh, that. I'm terribly sorry. I was so rude. I saw the two of you out late at night, and I suppose I made assumptions. Gotcha. Sorry if I gave you the wrong idea. Out of interest, what was your plan if we did turn out to be curse bearers? Great question. The answer is, I was going to ask you very nicely for your curse stones. You just thought we'd give them to you? Just like that? Well, maybe not, but you know what they say, you never know until you ask. You must really love your boyfriend if you're willing to try something that risky. Oh goodness, no, we're just friends. Poor guy. My life doesn't revolve around him, you know. You're just using him, huh? Anyway, you aren't curse bearer, so I'm just bothering you, aren't I? Please ignore me. So what are you trying to do with this rite of resurrection? Well, Yutaro has his own plan all laid out. I don't know if I can get behind it, though. It seems, how do I put it, self-centered? I mean, if you got a chance to resurrect the dead, it would be a waste to not use it on someone that really matters, right? So I was planning to steal his curse stone at the last second and use it for myself. Huh. Well, until he lost it anyway. Oh, but don't tell Yutaro I was going to do that, okay? I don't think he'd be happy to hear it. Of course, keeping secrets is my business. My, aren't you dashing? Sounds like you really have your heart set on this rite. What were you hoping to use it on? Do you promise you won't laugh? Cross my heart. Well then, let me tell you my master plan. Prepare to be amazed. I'm an art student, you see. Woodblock prints are my specialty. Ukiyo-e in particular. Ukiyo-e, huh? You must be a cultured lady. Really? Do you think so? Everyone says it's a strange interest for a girl to have. You know, some people think of ukiyo-e as some inaccessible high-class art form, but that's totally untrue. Back in the Edo period, it was the art for the masses, amusement for the common people. So when you think about it, we feel exactly the same thrills from every brushstroke as they did back then. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, I guess. As far as I'm concerned, the undisputed king of ukiyo-e is the one and only Hokusai. Have you heard of him? Sure I have. He's famous. Didn't he live somewhere around here back in the Edo period? That's right. You're just as knowledgeable as you look. His 36 views of Mount Fuji are so iconic, they're the only works of his most people know. But Hokusai was so much more than just mountains and waves. That's only the teeny tiny tip of a veritable iceberg of work. I gotta admit, I've only really known him from those landscapes myself. Oh, don't worry about it. Anyone can learn. When Hokusai died at the age of 90, he left behind over 30,000 drawings. That's multiple drawings a day for 80 years. Amazing, right? So he kept on drawing right up into his old age, huh? Impressive. But even in his final years, he was never satisfied with his own work. His dying words are, "Should heaven afford me but 5 more years, I shall finally become a true artist." Even on his deathbed, he still thought he had more to learn. He was already the greatest painter and artist of his era. Who knows what he could have done with more time? Well, that's what I want to find out. Huh? Hold on, are you saying... Besides, he always said he wanted to move out of 100 houses, and he only made it to 93. Isn't that just tragic? Oh no, nuh-uh. No way this is going where I think it's going. Imagine the masterpieces he could create with modern techniques. I feel all dizzy just thinking about it. You gotta be kidding me. So if I understand correctly, you want to use the rite of resurrection to... That's right, I want to bring Hokusai back to life. Well, that's certainly a novel idea. Excuse me. That's what she'd use it on? What a waste. Oop. Where is it? Come back. Okay. Katsushika Hokusai. Yeah, that's a pretty famous drawing. Master ukiyo-e artist, 1760 to 1849. Hokusai was active during the late Edo period, considered to be the golden age of ukiyo-e in Japan. Born in Hanjo, Hokusai spent most of his life in the area now known as Sumida City. Among his most famous works are 36 views of Mount Fuji and Hokusai manga. Hokusai was a prolific artist from a young age and has left behind a wide variety of works, producing an estimated 30,000 pieces during his lifetime. Though the general popularity of ukiyo-e declined during the Meiji period, Hokusai remained a core figure at the center of the Japonisme movement, providing inspiration for countless artists around the globe. Despite his fame, Hokusai himself is said to be rather indifferent to money or decorum, and lived a life that quite appropriately resembled that of a whimsical and otherworldly scene often depicted in ukiyo-e. Though he went by many names his later years, he took on the title Gakyo Rojin Manji, or the Old Man Painter. Hokusai lived to be 90 years old and never lost his passion for art. Oh gosh, is it that time? I should be going. I need to get my hands on a curse bear before daybreak. Sorry for flagging you down out of the blue like that. Best of luck. Ayami Tono. Ayame is a young woman working with Yutaro Namagaki. Her love for Katsushika Hokusai's ukiyo-e is so great, she wishes to resurrect him with the rite of resurrection. Ayame is a clever but calculating university student who only has time for her own interests. She is making the best of her recent boom in the popularity of female university students incited by their appearance across TV commercials and radio programs. Ayame is content to ride this trend so long as it allows her to get her hands on whatever she needs and wants in life. Recently, Ayame has figured out that older men will fall for her if she asks a bit stupid. She was approached by Yutaro Namagaki in town, and though she was not attracted to him, agreed to date him because his family seemed rich. However, she does not think much of him as a human being and is beginning to grow bored of their relationship. Oh, she is a master manipulator, huh? Well, there goes trouble. If we're going after cursed stones, we should keep an eye on her. 2 if we can. Why do you say that? Before she left, she wished us best of luck. She's got at least an inkling that we're cursed bears. My. There's a good chance we'll clash sooner or later. We're all after the same thing, after all. You head back onto the mansion, ma'am. I think I'll tail her for a while. Very interesting. Okay, so next time, we're going to detour from this story, despite the fact that we are learning a lot here, and head back to Yako Sakazaki's, because with the information now that we have about Nejima, we might be able to change the outcome of everybody's deaths. So thank you very much for watching. This has been Sephiroth Level 4, and I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're getting those little tingles of, uh-oh, where is this going? Because I certainly am. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.